One of the biggest debates when talking about Genshin Impact is, should a skip button exist? The amount of war from lore people versus people who just want to do literally anything else in the game is kind of crazy. And they say tribalism only happens between Hoyo and Koro, right? The divide on the skip button being implemented into not only Genshin Impact, but any video game, well, in my honest opinion, is pretty stupid. It has no negative effects on the consumers at all, objectively. The counter for people who want skip buttons are normally the whole, Genshin Impact's a story game, it'll ruin the experience of the players. Oh, well, the retention needs to be high for investors, and so on. $23 billion company. My rebuttal is normally, shut up, bitch! Listen, there's nothing wrong with enjoying the story of Genshin Impact. I personally loved Fontaine, and I will always praise Fontaine for what reignited my love for Genshin Impact. The story of Monster, Nervlet, and Farina are easily some of the best written gacha stories of the second generation gacha games. And you know what? I'm gonna throw an anti-story skipper a bone here. If someone doesn't experience the Fontaine story, I'd be like, hey, you know what? I'm not gonna lie, they're kind of missing a really great storyline, because Fontaine was, I don't know if I've emotionally recovered yet, to be honest with you. It was rough. The point is, not everyone plays Genshin Impact for just story. And to insinuate that what could possibly ruin your personal experience, again, your personal experience, to then project onto other members of the community who are clearly vocalizing that they want a skip button is selfish. I've seen elitism in meta, but goddamn, I don't know elitism was in lore too, brother. Y'all some fucking nerds. I'm gonna just keep it a stack. Let's go over all the reasons why a skip button would kill Genshin Impact. Obviously, I said that facetiously. Addressing the main argument that Genshin Impact is a story game, why the fuck would you want a skip button? It's very simple. My first response is, really? Like, do you really believe Genshin is just a story game? Like, that's all this game has got to offer you. It's one of the weirdest arguments and hills for people to die on, and I'm not too sure why. Last time that I checked, I googled Genshin, I saw it had the words action, adventure, open world under the genre. I also noticed the estimated time in gameplay is anywhere from 63 to 763 hours. The game definitely has dialogue bloat for sure, but I'm not sure if it tallies up to 763 hours. I think this might involve some picking and maybe a couple other things like exploration, combat. And as to why should they add a skip button, well, all the other big gacha games have skip buttons, including Hoyoverse own games. Like, just put it in. Like, it's literally in the other game. Breaking news, everyone, breaking news. As I am recording this, they finally announced a skip.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really.
Last time I checked, when I played a visual novel or a AAA game with critical acclaim stories, not only do they have skip buttons, but their monthly patch cycles don't include characters or weapons that can take up to $800 to acquire. They don't have combat metas that are ever evolving, and they don't normally find ways to create more FOMO by specifically phasing out older characters or content. There's going to be a bit of a shock. Although the gameplay of Genshin Impact is not everyone's cup of tea, some people genuinely love the combat. They want to play the Abyss. I don't know why. They want to play Imaginary Theater. I don't know why. They want to play Stygian Onslaught. This one you might need to be checked into a mental institution for, because I don't know why. It's still enjoyable to others, and that's okay. Is the game Elden Ring level quality of combat? No, and I wish it was, but honestly, it doesn't need to be on the level of Elden Ring in order to justify someone's want for a skip button so they can get to the feature that they've paid for through their characters and weapons. They shouldn't have to sit through an R&R request for fucking 30 hours to unlock a sapwood weapon. It's just insanity. If people are spending their money on characters to use them in combat and exploration, then to me, it already disqualifies the whole logic of you're playing the game exclusively for story. You undermine every other aspect of the game to push your agenda of wanting everyone to suffer through the lengthy story. Not everyone cares about the moons and the nights or whatever. Maybe they just want to goon to Yelan's new skin. And I think that's okay, because I'm gonna do the same exact thing. Even though the community doesn't want me back, I'm here to goon, baby. Again, exploration hasn't lately been my cup of tea, but there are tons of people who want to go around and enjoy the different characters such as Verissa. They want to enjoy their Kanich. Maybe they want to enjoy Shenyu Vale that has different types of gimmicks to go around and just have fun in the environment that is genuinely beautiful. You know, this game is not a one-dimensional being that only offers story. And let's be honest, if it was just exclusively a story game, why would they hide those primo gems behind chests that you need to climb up mountains and hills for? or actually, Ethan, there's lore reasons behind the chest is not attainable for everyone. Go fuck yourself. When people say they want to have a skip button, you know, because they have jobs, they just kind of want to enjoy playing the game and grind currency, and the response is, well, if you're so busy, don't play. So let me get this straight. You're saying that if someone skips the story, that's gonna ruin the experience. It's over. That there's nothing left. But if you tell someone to not play the fucking game because they're too busy and you're an elitist cuck, that's a-okay. It makes sense to me, you know? I mean, I'll just keep it pushing. Don't you love when you're on a time crunch trying to grind out these primo gems for the newest banner with the upcoming character that will power creep all electro reactions, and this is your experience? It only took me 6 hours, but I got 20 primo gems, baby. We out this bitch. Look, here's the thing. If someone's interested in the story, they won't skip it. That's it. Plain and simple, end of discussion. And if you've been following the story for 5+ years, not cry to you as the next coming of Jesus Christ, again, just don't use the fucking button. This is something that will give players the option to feel that their time is rewarded. We don't need limitations to the skip button either. I've seen tons of people say,
well, I think the skip button is actually perfect as long as it's not for the main Archon quest.
what the fuck is wrong with you? Not everyone wants to sit there and listen to Hida yap for 25 years. Just add the fucking button. No restrictions, nothing. That's it. Not a skip button, summary, bam, keep it pushing. The other reason why people think a skip button will ruin their experience, get this shit. Get a little bit closer, buddy. They don't want people to have bad lore takes. Bro, if someone makes a dog shit take about the story, fucking ignore it. It's one thing if someone were to make a whole ass video spreading misinformation about the game with objectively bad info and lack of understanding, then yes, I could understand that being a very annoying and frustrating thing to deal with, and you should absolutely call that out. However, if you're getting tilted over dumbass threads on Twitter about the store being bland, or this shit doesn't make sense, or that, you know, their headcanon might be this, or maybe this is D-Luke's real dad or whatever, like, you're just fucking dumb. There are always going to be out of touch takes about any narrative-driven game out there. It's bound to happen. But why do I need to suffer because one dumbass on TikTok got 1,000 up dudes said something stupid? Fuck him. Give me the skip button. Retention. Retention is such an interesting factor. Real quick, if you're not aware of what game retention is, as it states clearly, it is the ability of a game to keep players engaged and returning to play over time. It's a crucial metric for game developers as it directly impacts revenue, community growth, and overall success. High retention rates indicate a successful and engaging game experience. The higher retention equals more money. People like to claim why Genshin Impact has never implemented a skip button is due to player retention. Now listen, look, I'm going to throw them a bone again. Maybe at one point in around 2020 or even 2021, when they're trying to build up the world, I could understand. Even though they made $2 billion in the first year, you know what? I get it. Maybe you want to show your numbers are as high as possible so that way you can get even more money from investors. Sure, why not? The problem is the argument doesn't hold up anymore. Genshin Impact, as we have discussed, is an open world game. Every new region and certain subsequent patches either have some sort of new map or map expansion, especially in the cases of 0.0 patches where a whole new region is introduced. Exploration could take hours. Imagine if you started Genshin Impact today, or you're a returning player from, let's say, Inazuma or Sumeru. I mean, the map is fucking massive. The reason why I mentioned the length of the exploration in Genshin as well, comparing this to their own game, Zenless Zone Zero. Zenless Zone Zero is an instance-based game. You do the story, grind materials, try endgame, and the events similar to Genshin. One thing, it's not an open world game. If the retention to a Hoyo title was so important, why would this game come with way less content than Genshin, launch with a skip button? Even looking at Honkai Star Rail, it's not an open world, and the exploration is more or less of a joke, but just recently they implemented a skip button. These are two games where realistically, I could absolutely see an argument for not implementing it due to retention issues. I wouldn't agree with it because I still think it's fucking bogus. People are gonna play your game if it's good, and a skip button, sorry to tell you, really isn't going to change that, but whatever. Genshin has a plethora of content, but for whatever reason, the Genshin stans feel retention only matters in this one particular game, which is more than likely going to already have a much higher retention rate than any of the other Hoyo titles due to the fact that it is such a large, vast world that is filled with more content. But here's the true nail in the coffin to all this retention bullshit. Why the fuck do you care? Seriously, why, as the consumer, are you concerned concerned about internal metrics that they might present to other sponsors or investors. You don't work for the company, you don't have stock in the company, and they have $23 billion. We should not care. We're providing this corporation with millions of dollars a month, and there's people trying to see the side of the company. Fuck that shit. It's my money, and I want these fucking changes now. I don't want to wait till 6.0. And also, if they added in 6.0, listen, congratulations. I'm happy that they finally added it. But don't you think it would have made a little bit more sense to add it prior so that way people can catch up on the content so they can get to Nogpri in a decent fashion? I mentioned it earlier, but the R&R quest is the perfect example of a quest that literally made me want to just stop playing the game in total, locking craftable dendro weapons behind hours of dog shit dialogue. The only real reason gacha companies might be hesitant to adding a skip button is very simple. The story's supposed to sell you a character. A lot of the times, the story is added to the game, obviously to push parts of the narrative forward, but mainly to make the consumer feel some sort of emotional attachment to the on-banner unit. They want these characters to be relatable, and that way you need to get them. Every character you fall in love with is up to potentially $350 extra if you're just going for C0, not even including constellations, and this is $350 the company didn't have before. Now do that 20 times during the year and you're making a lot of money, buddy. The great thing is, characters don't only need to be sold through story. Tons of people play gacha games and have no idea what's going on in the stories. If the character's design is good, maybe they're impactful on the meta, maybe they're just fun, maybe they just have a really cool, fun playstyle, people are inclined to buy. It does not just have to be a one single component to sell each character. However, the most efficient way and easy way to make a character's lovable, well, make a 3 to 5 hour story quest just about them. That's unskippable. That'll do it.